Hello guys, how are you doing? Sorry for the fumbles. New set of software to learn how to use um, while teaching you. Hello guys, how are you doing? Sorry for that needs to go. So, can everybody hear me? Is there any issue? With the ability to hear? Good evening. So, one of the issues with a podcast like this in comparison to the standard software is I don't see your cameras. Um, and I'm not sure if you guys are going to be happy with that or not. I almost never get students to turn on their cameras anyway. So I'm guessing not having any option to turn on your cameras, but being able to comment via a live chat is probably not that big of an issue for you guys. Please go sign in using the Microsoft form up at the top. There's a link. That's just for me to take attendance to make sure everybody gets here tonight. Because what we are going to do tonight is we're going to take the time to make some decisions about the course. We're going to take the time to go over some of the course policies in terms of how grades will be determined and things like that. But there's certain things that you guys get to decide going forward. So this evening, we would have done this in class if we'd met in person, but it would have actually kind of wasted in-person meeting time. So it's kind of, in some way, I'm glad we're all snowed in, because that allows the first week of class to be what it needs to be, and then we start meeting in person next week, which is great. So just want to see. Okay, so about half the students have responded so far in terms of signing into attendance. So let's go ahead and talk about what the purpose of why this class is set up the way it is and why it has such bizarre meeting times. Why is it set to meet from 6:30 to 8:30 at night in person? And not all of those meetings are going to be in person. It's just when we are going to meet in person, it will always be on Monday nights. And why is it then also set to meet at 8 a.m. in the morning on Wednesday? I mean, am I a morning person or something? The answer is I'm not a morning person. 8 a.m. sucks for me. But my home computer is set up better for doing this type of studio live stream online lecturing than my office computer is. So that means I have to do this from home, then I have to drive into work to teach the evening course. But I also really thought, because I had control over how this course was going to be set up, and I really thought hard about the population that tends to take the hybrid course. So most of the students that tend to take the hybrid course, and you guys may be different, but most of the students who tend to take the hybrid course tend to be working a job. And then they have other classes. And so I tried to set the online portion of the course, which technically is Wednesday at 8 a.m., to be early so that you could either take an afternoon shift at work or you could have time to commute into Queens to take afternoon classes on Wednesday. And I tried to set the in-person class, the Monday class, to be in the evening so it wouldn't conflict with those afternoon classes or with an afternoon shift at work. So I really tried to carefully balance when this class would be so that I could make it in, because I do teach an evening class on Wednesday, for example, but also so that you guys had that balance. Now, one of the things, because the early morning class is an online class, so we're not taking up lecture hall space, is if the entire class absolutely hates it at 8 a.m. and they want to shift to 8:30 or 9 a.m., I don't have a problem with that. I can still get in for my evening class. So that's something to think about. I'll put it in a poll in the software we're going to use for the course, and you can decide then whether you want, if you want to shift the timing just a little bit. I really don't mind getting up at 8 a.m., so don't shift it for me. I mind getting up at 8 a.m. if I have to teach in person, because I live an hour and a half from Queens College without traffic. So if I'm going to teach an 8 a.m. course, I have to get out of bed at like 5 a.m. so I can leave at 6 a.m. and I am not a happy camper with that. Teaching online at 8 a.m., it's no big deal. So that's why the times are set so broadly apart, if you had wondered why that was set that way. There was thought behind that, in other words. Now, the one thing that we must determine, right now this is a YouTube live stream. It linked really easily into Teams, so all of that's good. And it's set to public right now, but going forward, because that made it easier for everybody. But going forward, you guys get to determine if that's what you really want. So, the poll that I am about to post is asking you basically, which platform do you want for live streaming? Do you want to use YouTube? Do you want to use Zoom? Or do you want to use Microsoft Teams, which is what we're going to use for our learning management system for the most part? And do you want the stream, if we do use YouTube, do you want, and also just in general because if we use Zoom or Teams, I'm still going to record the lecture. I'm still going to post it in YouTube. It takes more steps for me to do that, and sometimes I forget and I get behind. If I'm using YouTube stream, all of this happens automatically, and I just have to remember to grab the link and post it to Teams. So it's a little bit more straightforward. But no matter what, the lectures will be recorded and you will have access to them. But do you want, when I post them to YouTube, do you want them to be public or private? In other words, do you want to be where anybody could see them, or do you want it to be where only the people with the link can see them? So that's what this poll is for. And that has been posted in the YouTube chat so that you guys can answer that and fill that out about what modality, if you're comfortable with it being in YouTube and interacting with me with live stream. So interacting with me with live chat rather than being able to turn a camera on and talk to me face to face when we're doing online teaching. Now, the other thing that's going to be really different in this course than in the past is there's going to be, on Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to do podcasts, and you guys control to some extent what those podcasts will be about. So if you ask a particular question in the live chat during the lecture, if you ask a particular question in the Teams question and answer channel, we're going to talk about that in just a minute, those questions will get answered, if they're good questions, as part of a podcast. And those podcasts I'll record one podcast on Tuesday and edit it to post on Thursday, and then the next podcast will get recorded Thursday morning, posted and edited the following Tuesday. So if I'm not told what to podcast on, I'll just pick a topic like math review or a particular homework problem that you might find challenging or something like that. But if you have a particular question, ask it on Monday night or Wednesday night, and it might be the podcast for Tuesday or Thursday. So, just so you know. So that's the first step in this. Are there any questions about that? I have no hearts. Don't see any hearts flowing. So I'm going to presume that there are no questions for this. Okie dokie. And you guys are liking YouTube as well. The 113 students also liked YouTube. Nope, you do not have to tune into the podcast. The idea behind the podcast is I'm trying to build up a library of tutorials so that in the future those can just be automatically linked into the course for students. And it takes time. It takes time to script this stuff. It takes time to do it. It takes time to edit it. So I was struggling. I have ADHD and autism, so when I get a really long to-do list, like I need a podcast for all of freshman chemistry, I just go curl up in bed and stop. That's my body just shuts down completely. So instead of doing that, I just did what a lot of other podcast people do on YouTube, because I follow several history podcasts that I really like, and that is, I'm just going to set a schedule. I'm going to release a Tuesday and a Thursday podcast on whatever, and over time, those tutorials will build up, but it's not me sitting there going, I have to generate 150 hours worth of material as quickly as possible. So that's the idea behind having a Tuesday, Thursday podcast release date. Now, let me show you how that's going to link in to everything. So I'm going to slide over to screen share of my computer screen and show you the Teams, and then show you how this stuff links in. So first thing you should do before I do that is, if you have a cell phone, handy duty, this is my very old Apple phone, an Android, it doesn't matter what type of cell phone, as long as it's a smartphone, an iPad or any type of tablet computer, doesn't matter what type, or you're on your home computer, doesn't matter what type, go to the store or the app store or wherever you get your apps and download Microsoft Teams. The reason why I want you to do this is then you will never have a problem with seeing your course. If you try to access Microsoft Teams through the browser, you're going to, on occasions, end up with a real issue seeing this course. And that's because you guys have 2 Microsoft accounts. You have a Microsoft account associated with your email, and that's your QMail account. But you also have a Microsoft account associated with CUNY, with City University of New York. And it's the City University of New York account that has Teams for Business. It also gives you 1 terabyte of cloud storage and so forth. Now, on any of the other Microsoft apps, such as, say, Word, I'm going to show you Word. So this is Word, this is the evaluation method. On any of these other apps, you can actually add both accounts. So you can have your QML account with your 1 terabyte of cloud storage, and you can have your CUNY account with 1 terabyte of cloud storage. Teams doesn't work that way. You can only have one account associated with it. And this means if you're accessing Word or any other program on the web using a web browser, then you end up with being logged into QMail. And then if you go to Teams, you're still logged in via QMail, and you will not see this course. So if you download the Teams app and log in using your Brightspace account, so you need to log into Teams, log in to the downloaded Teams app using your first.last with your 2 numbers at login.cuny.edu. That's the login that you need to use in order to always see this course. Never an issue. And what you will see, I need to see what you guys are seeing, okay, is something that looks like this. Well, when you first log into Teams, you'll see something that looks like this. Now, this is not what it looks like on a cell phone or a tablet. I will take some screenshots tonight of what it looks like on a cell phone or a tablet so that you can see that and see the difference. And I'll put that the podcast tomorrow will be on that. So how to navigate Teams in a cell phone and how to navigate Teams on a tablet rather than on a PC. Obviously, you're not going to have all of this other stuff. You're just going to have your one course up here. But the really important thing is chat. This is how you need to always contact me. Doesn't have to be in this group chat. The group chat was just a way for me to make sure I had everybody so I could reach everybody at once. But you can do an individual chat. You can chat me individually. When you do that, I'm going to see it instantly because I have Teams on my cell phone, on my iPad tablet, and on my computer. It pops up and pings me when somebody chats. If you try to do this via an email, I get about 100 emails a day. I usually do try to sort those emails so that if the subject heading says freshman chemistry, it'll sort into a directory. I haven't set that up yet for this semester. But generally speaking, if you send me an email, it's just going to get lost in the pile of emails. And we get so many emails right now because we're undergoing assessment. And I actually do get anxious that I may not see something that you're trying to communicate with me. With Teams, I only am going to see it if you're communicating. It's a lot like Messenger or messages on your cell phone, so it's a lot like texting. So this is how you should communicate with me. Do not try to email me. It's just easier, and you're going to get a better response and a faster response from me. Faster means, if it's a complicated question, probably within half a day. If you do this, if you email me at like midnight, it'll probably be the next morning if you chat me. If I'm in the middle of something and a whole bunch of chats are pinging, I may get a little bit testy, because if I'm truly in the middle of something and I'm focused on something and you keep pinging questions at me, it's going to annoy the hell out of me. So if you have a question, ask it. If you don't get a response in a couple of hours, then ping me again. What you shouldn't do is ping me 6 times in a row, because I could be in the middle of doing something else, and because I am autistic and ADHD, if I'm in the middle of a hyper focus and you keep interrupting it, I am not going to be pleasant when I finally respond. That's not really your fault. I understand that you might have something that's urgently pressing, but if I get testy, that's the reason why. Or snarky. I think I like snarky better than testy, but anyway. So, chat, very important feature. The other feature is your course. So, the CHEM 114 hybrid. Now, you'll see, I guess I probably should check in with you guys and make sure you definitely can see the screen, so everybody's seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, so when you log into Teams, you're going to see a series of channels. You're going to see the home page. This has not yet been set up. It will be, including the class schedule. Maybe this class schedule is a pain in the butt, so it may not get set up. And the reason for that is because there is a calendar right here that is a shared calendar. It will have the schedule on it. It will also have the due dates for any assignments on it. So generally speaking, this will be an easier calendar to monitor. And yes, you can access the join meeting is linked to the YouTube live streams. So you can just click there and it will take you to the YouTube lecture for a given live stream. And when we're through, it'll take you to the recorded archive live stream. The other place to get to that is, class notebook. This is a OneNote notebook. Each of you has your own notebook. There's also a content library. I will sometimes post stuff there if I think if everybody needs to see it and I need to get it out to everybody fast. In the individuals, there are only 2 sections that I have supplied. You can add sections to your notebook as you choose. Handouts will be where I put stuff. Class notes is your own private section. If you use OneNote to take notes, then you're welcome to use the class notebook for taking notes. Oops, sorry. If you do choose to do that, I am not going to look at it. I value privacy. I'm not going to pry into your personal notes. Just absolutely not going to do that. If you want me to look at something in your notebook, you need to create a section that says questions, or take a screenshot of it and paste it in a chat, something like that. But don't ask me to look at your private notebook. I'm not doing it. The other good place to go is the classwork area. This has the modules that we're going to do in the course. It's going to have the reading assignments. You'll see right now for course information, it has the link to this live video. That link will, of course, then convert to the archive once this video is done. And right now it has the paper for course evaluation and grade scale. When I get the detailed calendar done with all of the topics and when stuff is due, it'll go up in course information. The different module books and homeworks and things like that will go in these individual modules, as will different reading assignments. So everything will be controlled through these modules. Now, I told the 113 students this. I'm going to give you guys the same option. I prefer Microsoft Teams over Brightspace for a couple of reasons. One, it's easier for me to set up. It's easier for me to provide links. It takes less time. That's what easier means to me, is it takes less time. Two, if I get you guys used to using Microsoft Teams for Business, which is what this is, then you can put on a resume when you are job hunting familiar with Microsoft Teams, which is something that many companies use to handle workflow in a company environment. So from my point of view, it serves two purposes. It teaches you software that is common in business, and it's easier to set up than Brightspace. It does have some glitches when using it as a learning management system. And one of the primary glitches is if I want to input grades into the gradebook, which I'm not clicking on because that's private for everybody, and right now it wouldn't have anything anyway. If I want to input grades into the gradebook, I have to create an assignment, because that's the only way I get a column to input a grade. So like exam 1 is going to be an in-person exam. But in order to put grades in, I have to create an assignment, and that assignment's going to pop up, and you're going to have a submit button. You don't need to submit anything. That's my job. I got to grade the exam, and then I have to put the grades in, and then I have to hit submit. So you'll notice on the channels down here, there's a DNS assignments. DNS stands for do not submit. Those are where the assignments where I need to input a grade for you guys, that's where they go. If it's an assignment that you actually do need to do and hit the submit button after you've done the assignment, that will go into assignment announcements. So if you see DNS before the name of an assignment, that means you don't have to submit anything. That was just me setting up a grade column so that I could input grades. Okay? Now, so that's how you navigate what you need to navigate here. You will notice if you go to the question and answers, you'll see week 1 questions. Let me explain how that's going to work. So one of the issues that we have, I'm just flipping this up, I'm going to put this back on whiteboard now. One of the issues we have when we teach right now is nobody's asking questions. Now part of that's because you can go to ChatGPT and ask those questions and get an immediate answer. The problem with that is ChatGPT is not going to say I don't know, and it's not going to tell you that something's confusing, and it will make up smoke and mirrors answers. And sometimes it's real smoke and mirrors. I've had ChatGPT it knew that the answer needed to be on an order of magnitude of 10 to the minus 8, but the numbers it had was a 10 to the 5, and it knew it needed to divide that by a 10. It was like a 10 to the minus 5, and it knew it needed to divide that by 10 to the minus 3, which was the number it was given. But that doesn't give you 10 to the minus 8. But that's what the answer it gave me. And I'm like, 10 to the minus 5 divided by 10 to the minus 3 is 10 to the minus 2. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right, it is. So there are really good uses for ChatGPT. If you're writing a resume and you want it to make it through to a person seeing it, using ChatGPT to help you take your resume and get it use the language of a job offer, it is a perfectly fine use for that, because that is a waste of your time. Learning material takes repetition and practice. Some of you may have learned English as a new language. Some of you may have played sports when you were in high school, or may even play sports now. Some of you may know how to sing or play a musical instrument. And in all of those instances, you know that to become good at it, you had to practice. You had to play scales and arpeggios if you're a musician, or sing scales and arpeggios. You had to run bleachers and lines if you're in basketball. You had to practice vocabulary. So, and that's a really good way to do it. Generating practice exams, especially for multiple choice, very good way of using it. So these type of ways of using it are very good. A bad way of using it is, for instance, when you're doing homework, to ask it to do the homework for you and then try to memorize that homework. It'll give you the answer, but it's not going to, memorizing that's not going to help you when I ask a similar question, but you don't know the steps and you don't know really why ChatGPT did what it did to get the answer it got. So I had one student who's like, well, I don't really do that. I just ask it, I have this problem. Is this the correct way to go? Yes or no? And if it answers yes, then I'll go, and then I'll ask it again. Is this the next step I should do? Yes or no? And I thought, well, that's a really good way to use it. The problem was that particular student got so dependent on that on an exam, the student couldn't make the same decision tree. And so they just got stuck on the exam and couldn't actually do the exam because they had relied on ChatGPT to tell them that they were working the problem correctly. And they didn't have internally that sense of, yeah, this is how I should work this problem. So be careful with its use. Just be careful with its use, because in the end, using ChatGPT to do your homework would be kind of like having somebody else run your laps for basketball and then trying to figure out why in the world you're winded and you can't play a full basketball game. You're winded and can't play a full basketball game because you didn't develop your own stamina. The same's true for the use of ChatGPT. So it should be a tool, not a crutch, and not something you rely on. Okay? Now, let's talk about how you're going to be evaluated in this course. But before we do that, let's talk about textbooks. We're not using an online homework system. That's the first thing to realize. Takes a minute. Hopefully that's me. That is not me. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's got two items. Gotcha. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Boop. Just making sure everything's still streaming. Okay, it is. Okay. So, it has this two options in terms of a chemistry textbook. It has Chem Connections activities, and it has Chemistry, a Guided Inquiry Part 2. Now, it's cheaper. The only absolutely required textbook for this course is the Guided Inquiry book, and it's a workbook. Now, this workbook, you'll notice the ebook is $30, the print book's $35. Take your pick which one you want. But do keep in mind it actually is a good textbook. And that means that it's a good workbook. It has really good problems. It works you through those problems. So it's a good book to go back and review if you're studying for an MCAT or a DAT or a pharmacy exam. So if you're going to use it in that way, the electronic book's not as good a value because you only have the book for 180 days. The physical book is $5 more, but you have it permanently. Your choice. That's the only absolutely required textbook. Now, this course has 100 possible bonus points. Most of those bonus points will come out of this CHEM Connections book. There will be activities that I assign out of this CHEM Connections book. However, notice you can get used copies for $7.71. Just make sure those used copies are not written in. But it too is a workbook. Now, there will be other... Oh, it did it again. I had this problem the last time. There will be other possible bonuses, but this is going to be the primary bonus. Again, this is a good this is a good book. The difference between the required book and this book is the required book kind of takes you through more traditional chemistry problems. This book takes you more through applied chemistry problems. I think the problems are actually a little bit easier in the Chemical Connections book, but they're also a little bit more interesting. So the other book is going to build your understanding of the problems. This book is going to build how you use these same techniques in a broader world environment. And that's why it'll be bonus. Like I said, there will be other bonuses, but primarily the bonus will come from this book. Somebody did say they found the required workbook online as a PDF for free. I can't know about that. Okay? If you really, really, really have a difficulty in math, this is absolutely not required. Especially applied mathematics. This Calculations in Chemistry by Dom and Nielsen is a good investment. Don't buy it new at $48. Go buy the $5.79 used version. Okay? Now, in terms of textbooks, the easiest textbook for you to access and the textbook that I'm going to upload and put as reading assignment is from OpenStax. And the reason for that is it's free. So it's the Adams First Chemistry textbook. This is the book you're going to want. Many of you, this will be probably the only book you bother with. The problem is this book doesn't provide a lot of really good worked examples in the text, and a lot of students find it really hard to read because it doesn't provide a lot of good worked examples. So, what do? Well, what I'm suggesting you do is, and I will help you with this by next Monday when we meet in person again, when we actually meet in person, I will bring in some of the textbooks that I've got in my office. Now, not a lot of them aren't Adams First, but I think I have enough Adams First for you to look at, so that you can look at them and get a feel By then, we'll have gone through enough of a lecture, because we'll lecture on Wednesday, for you to get some idea of, are you going to be able to read the textbook, the free textbook, or are you going to be looking for something else, something better? And then you can look at the textbooks I've got and see which of these textbooks might fit your learning style better. And then once you do that, you come to here. This is a used textbook site. Generally speaking, you're looking for chemistry, atoms first. And any general chemistry that is atoms first will work. So you'll notice here is a Burge, atoms first. He's not too bad. He's got some MCAT questions in him. $3.97. Yay. Here's McMurray and Fay. Solid book. $3.22. You don't want an introductory chemistry. That's 101. So you want it to be general chemistry or just chemistry. You don't want it to say an introduction to chemistry. So I will provide a link to some of these other books, but buy, $4 plus shipping for a solid freshman chemistry textbook, that's reasonable. $100 plus shipping for a textbook, that's not reasonable, not for freshman chemistry. They haven't changed this material since I was a student. So don't break the bank for a freshman chemistry book, but do get one that you find readable. Another good way to see which books might be readable is go to the library and go up into the stacks and look for where they've got the freshman chemistry books. They'll all be on one shelf. And kind of go through them and see which author you like best. And then if you're a little bit concerned, send me the name of the book and the author and I'll look it up for you. But certainly don't spend over $100 on a textbook. There are plenty of different editions, plenty of different used books that are completely reasonable. But go ahead, especially if you're thinking about if you're pre-med or pre-dental or pre-pharmacy, if you're a physician assistant, if any of the health tracks, invest in a good hard copy freshman chemistry book. You'll use it again. You'll review it again. It'll be useful in your future. And the material in there is not going to change. Okay? The book I will be writing notes from is Gilbert's Chemistry and Atomic Approach, I think. It's right at my feet. Yep, Chemistry and Atoms Focused Approach. So this is the book I'm using to write my notes from, the 4th edition. You can see that this is $3 for, that is probably the 2nd edition. It's fine. So, there's the 4th edition. The 4th edition, you will notice, is $85. That's too much. Go get the $3 one that's one edition earlier. Okay? But the only reason, to be honest, for one General Chemistry 2, which is the course you guys are in, you don't even need to worry about it being atoms first. The difference in the material is really in General Chemistry 1, not General Chemistry 2. But, so if you have any freshman chemistry book, it'll work. There's just, in General Chemistry 1, there's a real difference in the order of the material, and that means they had to rearrange sections, and it can be kind of hard to dovetail those. For General Chemistry 2, it's a lot less different between the atoms first and the non-atoms first. So, any good General Chemistry textbook, make sure it's like under $10. Get a used one. So, that's textbook. I will use OpenStax as what I'm going to do from OpenStax is I'm going to download the PDF of the book, split the PDF up into reading assignments, and upload it into Teams. But again, I know from experience that it's not the easiest book to read. Okay, with that being said, how are you going to be evaluated in this course? This has already been posted. There are going to be 3 exams in the department final. This is 50% of the grade. Those exams will be fixed. Technically, the material on them may fluctuate just a little bit depending upon our coverage speed, but the exams will be fixed. In terms of dates. So, because we meet in person on Monday, the exams will be on March 9th. I'm looking at my 113 schedule if you're curious. April 27th and May 11th, most likely. But they may move slightly from that depending upon how the modules break out when I do that. But anyway, there will be a calendar. You'll have a calendar. That's 50% of the grade. The department final exam, the final exam schedule this semester, I don't know if you guys have looked at the academic calendar, but the final exam schedule for this semester is about the weirdest I've ever seen in my 25 years of teaching at the City University of New York. So, basically, the schedule for finals is Monday. Well, if you have weekend classes, it's Saturday, Sunday, May 16th and 17th. Then if you have regular classes, it's Monday, May 18th, and then it's Wednesday through Friday, May 20th through 22nd, and then it's Tuesday, May 26th. Now you'll notice that there's a Tuesday right here. This is a regular class day. In other words, you will go to your regular Tuesday classes, not final exams, just your regular lecture classes. I have no idea how your Tuesday classes are going to handle this, but I'm sure you're going to hear about it tomorrow when you take your Tuesday classes. It is the weirdest thing I have ever seen. Now, what chemistry has decided they're going to do, we always have a day when we do the makeup exam, and that day, the makeup exam is always before the department scheduled final. And we do it that way because then only students that have conflicts I'll come back to you for that. Only try Amazon. Only students that have conflicts will take it earlier than the department scheduled time. So that's why we do it that way. So anyway, this for sure, Monday, May 18th, is going to be final exam makeup day. Don't know what time yet, but that's when it's going to be. Then probably in the evening, but that's when it's going to be. And that's when 101, 113, 114, everybody will have their makeup exam. So if and then the regular final will be sometime in here. I don't know when. Could be Wednesday, could be Thursday, could be Friday. Don't have a clue. I don't control that. Basically, what will happen is sometime, hopefully in March, we'll get together, we'll set a final date, we'll contact the people in charge of the room, we'll verify that we can have the room and at what time we can have the room during the finals, and that's how it gets scheduled. And then we let you guys know. So the regular final will be sometime May 20th through the 22nd. Don't have a clue what day. The makeup final will definitely be Monday, May 18th. You have to take it at one of those two times. Then, in terms of the 3 in-class exams, in terms of the 3 in-class exams, if you miss due to a university-approved absence, I have a list of those, then I'll just replace the missed exam with the average of the other 2. Now, when we're meeting online, you will have a quiz. That quiz will be always multiple choice. It'll turn on about 2 hours before the start of the class, and it'll turn off 2 hours after the class finishes. So you'll have a 6-hour window to take it. It should only take you 10 minutes to. It'll be set for 15 minutes. Why so short a time? It's a 5-question exam, so why such a short time? That's because on the final exam, you have 50 questions in 150 minutes. Well, actually, no, in 100 minutes, because it's 2 hours. So you have 50 questions in 100 minutes. That's 2 minutes per question. You have to get used to taking multiple choice fast. And that's why the quizzes will be set up as multiple choice, 5 questions, but with a 15-minute, so 3 minutes per question time scale, to get you used to that. Now, I will be using Brightspace for those quizzes. I would love to be able to do those in Teams, but Teams does not, Microsoft Forms is not really the easiest thing in the world to type science quizzes in. It's great for polls, sucks for quizzes. So those will be in Brightspace. It's just easier to do it that way. So, just so you know, that's that will be in Brightspace, and I'll remind you of that when I set the assignments up in Teams. So those quizzes, you'll take them in Brightspace. The way they're graded is 5 points is for taking the quiz on time in that window. And 5 points is whatever you make. It's 5 questions, so if you miss one, you get 9. You should already have access to Teams. If you have logged in correctly, you need to log into Teams using your login.cuny.edu. If you have logged into Teams using login.cuny.edu, then it will automatically appear. No class code. You should already be in. If you have logged in using qmail.cuny.edu, you will not see it. That's why I told you, download the app. Don't try to access it through the browser. Okay. Now, in terms of homework, the way I'm going to do homework is you're going to have your POGL workbook, and then you're going to have a workbook that I type up, and I will give you a hard copy next week, but also it'll be posted in the your team in Microsoft Teams. Those two sources are your studies. I will only pull exam questions from workbook, the POGL workbook, the workbook I hand out that has questions pulled from a whole bunch of old textbooks, and the CHEM connections. That's the only place where questions are going to come from. Nowhere else. So if you do all of that, you will have basically done everything. Not everybody's going to do all of that. But the way homework's going to work is I'm going to pick a selection of those questions every week, and I'm going to give you a form and say, take the work you've done and put it on this homework form. That will happen when we meet in person on Monday. Then, if you haven't done it by Monday, you'll have until Wednesday to submit it. But there will be time, about an hour's worth of time on Mondays, where you can do that transfer and give it to me. But if you don't finish it or don't have time to do it on Monday, then you can turn it in as late as Wednesday, but you lose a point, basically. So instead of being graded out of 20, it'll be graded out of, actually 2 points, out of 18. So you're going to lose 2 points for submitting it late. But you do have until Wednesday to submit it. The point is I want you to actually have the problems worked before the Monday when I give you time to work when I give you time. Because that way all you're doing is transferring your answers from what you did onto the homework sheet. It's kind of a way of seeing, do you understand it? Because I'm going to be asking the questions slightly differently. So here's how to explain this. So if you were to take any of these questions and just plug it into ChatGPT, it's going to give you an answer. If you ask it for a detailed solution, it's going to give you a detailed solution. You may or may not write that solution down. You may or may not understand that solution. When I ask that same question, the way I write the question in terms of that's the required workbook, the POGL workbook. It's the guided inquiry required workbook up here. When I write the question, I'm basically going to sit down, pick a question, work it. Then I'm going to ask a question for every single step I had to do to work the problem and get the answer. I'm going to ask a question about it. Yep. Absolutely. There will be reminders. Not only will there be reminders, there will be a detailed printable calendar. So multiple reminders. And for the first couple of weeks, there will be me reminding you, because I will actually send out a group chat reminding you that something's due by a certain time. No, class ends at 8:20. 6:30 to 8:20. I had originally split it into two 1-hour streams. In the future, I will actually split it into 4 25-minute streams. So we'll do 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, do 25 minutes, take a 10-minute break, do 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, do 25 minutes. So when we start lecturing, when we actually start going over scientific material, to keep from becoming Charlie Brown's teacher of wah, 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 we'll actually take shorter lectures and do breaks in between the shorter lectures. We'll do what are called pomodoros. Yep. It gives everybody a chance to break. It gives my voice a break. And it also hopefully keeps everybody focused a little bit better. That's my hope. Now, give me a minute. My brain just got distracted. So, there will be reminders for this. I will be sending out emails. I will be sending out Teams chats reminding you. But it will also be on calendar. It'll be an assignment. It'll be on the general calendar. So it will be in multiple places. Okay. But the point on the homework is, if you've got it done before class starts, then all you'll be doing, and you really understand it, is copying what you've already done in your notebook directly onto the paper. If you don't have it done, you'll have 30 minutes to an hour to do it and try to complete it. And then you'll have to make a decision about, do I turn it in now, or do I lose 2 points and turn it in sometime up to Wednesday at a particular time. So that'll be your choice in that regard. So that's how we're going to handle that in terms of homework. So no online homework, that's gone. In terms of grades, so the homework is worth 200 points. Bonus is worth 100 points. The other place where points are going to be coming from is the questions that you ask. For the POGIL workbook, I'm going to figure it's going to take at least a week to arrive. So like homework for next week will not be out of the POGIL workbook. Or if it is, it'll be pages I provide, because I know it's going to take at least a week to arrive. So I'm used to this. So I will give you some leeway in that regard to get it in. So, but good question. Now, the other way you're going to get points, notice 150 points. Now, what does this mean here? 150 points, max score 170. There are 17 lectures that we'll have online. No, that's the bonus workbook. Notice it says bonus. The POGIL workbook is the one that says required. I guess I'll call it guided inquiry because then it matches the name. So the other way you'll, in terms of points, what you'll notice is it says 150 points, max score 170 points. What that means is there are 17 lectures that we're going to have online out of the 28. Of those lectures, you'll have a quiz associated with them. You can miss 2 of those quizzes and take no hit to your score. That means there are no makeup quizzes. If you miss it, you miss it. That's it. There's no makeup because you can miss too. You just miss the bonus points. That's just the way it is. Similarly, on the indirect evaluation, the same thing is true. Now, what's the indirect evaluation? There are podcasts Tuesday, Thursday that are going to be linked into Teams. There's these online lecture videos Monday, Wednesday normally. That's a place where you can ask questions. When we meet in person on Monday, you can ask questions. I will put a container up at the front, and I will give you some cards that page you can print and write your question on and drop it in the container. That's a way of asking a question. In Teams, there is a channel called Question and Answer. You can ask your questions there. Basically, if you attend class, that's 5 points for participation. You showed up, you sat down, you get 5 of your 10 points. I think it's 5 for the week. So technically, you get half the points. So yeah, each of the 15 weeks. So if you show up, you get, and don't ask any questions relative to the material for either lecture, you get 3 points per lecture for just showing up. Yeah, that's six on the syllabus. That's 3 points per lecture. There's 2 lectures per week. Then, for every question you ask during that week, you get 1 additional point. So, if you ask 6 questions, you can get up to 12 points per week. There are multiple weeks in the semester, so bonus points build up. If you ask, how many questions do you need to ask in the week to get 100%? 4. But again, that can be across a broad variety of platforms. It can be on a podcast. It can be on as this live chat, like you guys have been asking questions here. It can be by dropping off a question when we're meeting in person. It can be by asking a question in Teams. Any of those work, whichever ones you're most comfortable with. But in order to learn, you need to ask questions. But in today's day and age, everybody's so scared of being embarrassed, being thought that they may be stupid or not smart if they ask a question, that everybody holds those questions in. And when you hold the questions in and you don't ask them, you don't learn as much. So I'm trying to get you guys used to asking questions in ways that maybe you're more comfortable, that's more native for asking questions. So we're going to try this, see how it works. And if you ask a lot of questions, you get bonus. So life is good. Now, another thing you guys need to know about is there was a significant cheating scandal. I'll be keeping track. If you ask it in Teams, it's automatically kept track of. If you ask it in the live chat, it's automatically February 19th through 26th. Remind me, one of you guys in the Teams chat, to contact Kindle via email and let them know their website's acting grouchy about you guys ordering textbook. You might try to order it through the bookstore, but I'm trying to save you guys from markup. But we'll make it work. If it doesn't arrive till February 19th, we'll make it work. I can supply the activities until then, okay? But I'll also contact Kindle. So somebody remind me to do that. If just pop a thing in Teams chat. I need to write that down. contact Kendall about website problem. Their website may be down because I don't actually know where they're at. And if they're in the South got like a massive ice storm, freezing rainstorm. And when that happens in the South, which raises pine trees, and then it gets windy, all of the trees fall down and they fall across power lines because the power lines are not buried underground. And you can kind of like lose power for weeks at a time, like 1-2 weeks. So that could be why their website's down. So it may be something as simple as the website's down because we don't have power right now. Kindle's a small publishing company. Okay? So I'll contact the rep and see what's going on about that and see if we can't get that fixed. Ice storms suck. Now, part of the reason why chemistry was willing to try an online hybrid course, it's possible, but give me a day. Let me contact their rep tonight and see if I can at least get you access to the online version. Now, the way you would use the online version is you would just keep a composition notebook and write your answers in the composition notebook instead of actually in the workbook. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to be asking you to fill it out on my own little form. But, so part of the reason why the department was willing to let me try to teach you guys via an online synchronous course with some in-person meetings was, one, they knew I could do the technology. But two, I have some family issues that mean that sometimes I need to be out of town. And because of that, there are going to be certain days. The reason why the course was set up the way it was on CUNY first and on CourseDog was, if we're going to meet in person, it will always be Monday night. But that doesn't mean we're going to meet in person every Monday night. Because there are certain Mondays when I'm just not going to be in town. But we will still meet. We will meet synchronously. That's why this is hybrid. Hybrid means at least anywhere between 33 and 67% of the course meets online. If it's over 67% that meets online, it's online. If it's under 33% that meets online, it's in person. In the future, this course may switch to fully, quote, online, and we only meet for exams. That's being discussed right now. That's something that over the semester think about. And not just think about it for freshman chemistry. Think about, would you be interested in this type of course for organic or for biochem? So certainly think about it. Of course, God teaching somebody else how to do this would be entertaining. But think about it and let us know. That's part of what we want to know from you guys is, do you want all of your classes in person? Do you want some of your classes online? Would you prefer them mostly online? The exams are always going to be in person, but in terms of other things, how would you like the modality of this material to be taught to you? I like in-person interactions so much better too, in all honesty. But I'm also really relieved that the department was willing to let me do this given the family situation that I have right now. So I think there are advantages to both. Being able to go back and re-listen to a lecture can be very helpful, especially in 114, which is a much harder course than 113. That being said, there's some dates that you guys need to know about. So Monday, these will be on the calendar. Monday, February 16th, it's a holiday, so we wouldn't meet anyway in person. And I'm only going to highlight the in-person days that are actually not going to be in person. Um, Monday, February 23rd, this will be online, and that will show up on the calendar. And Monday, March 2nd, will be online. And the only other one that is online that is Monday, April 13th. So those Mondays will be online Mondays, not in-person Mondays. Wednesdays are always online. It's an 8 a.m. class. No, you will always submit your homework as a hand-in paper that I grade by hand. It won't be submitted electronically. And the reason for this is ChatGPT and AI. I want to verify that you are doing that work. So homework will always be submitted. I will type up a paper with the questions I want answered. You will write the answers on that paper and you will turn it in to me. Now, we did have last semester and the semester before, an absolutely massive cheating scandal at Queens College. It was so bad that we even had students bragging in physics about how they were cheating in organic chemistry. Don't do that. It gets back to us. It really annoys the professors when that happens. It also annoys your classmates who are trying to not cheat through a hard course. So because of that, there are certain things that have been set in place. One, you need a non-programmable calculator. A $9 Casio calculator will get you through everything, but it cannot be programmable. Now, if you choose to use a programmable calculator, I'm not going to make you do the material without it, but I am going to make you wipe all of the memory from that calculator, and you have to know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, then you have to work the exam without a calculator. Personally, I'd buy a $9 non-programmable calculator. It's just easier. But that's my choice. You might like the feel and the touch of the large screen of the calculator you've been using for years. I understand that, but then you need to learn how to wipe the memory. And you need to show me that you have completely wiped the memory. In other words, you have to be able to completely reset the calculator. So that's one of the things. The other thing is you have to either be willing to turn off your cell phone or put it in an RFID bag. We will supply an RFID bag for the exams, or if you have your own, you can supply your own. Now, if you choose and you want to, if you are ADHD or autistic and you happen to be noise sensitive, if you want to wear noise canceling headphones or earbuds, I'm okay with that. I'm even okay with you linking your earbuds to a playlist on your cell phone, as long as you show me the playlist first, and then your cell phone goes in your backpack where you cannot answer it, and you cannot, and the playlist has to be downloaded because you have to put your phone on airplane mode. So I'm willing to work with you on that. We'll have to put some guideline. We'll have to put some guardrails on that. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble from the department. Okay? So those are the two main guidelines about cheating that the department has put in place. The other thing is, if you are suspected of cheating, your name goes on a list. That list doesn't get turned in to the academic integrity people. It just gets kept in the department, and it gets consulted when we write things like letters of recommendation. So, all that being said, just study, don't cheat off of somebody, please. Most of the students in a class are not doing that, but we did have like 4 or 5 that like had a little cheating ring going in Orgo 1, and they had started that in Gen Chem 2. Well, they had actually started that in Gen Chem 1, and they just carried it through Gen Chem 2 to Orgo 1 when they finally got caught. Because we put in enough things in there. So, it's such a hassle, because we really do want to trust, but science is built on integrity. We have to trust people when they say they did an experiment and these are the data they got. So when a student is cheating, that means that it's a student that we really don't want to invite to join a research group. It's a student we're not really going to recommend to, say, honors in math and natural sciences, which is a research honors program. So it has repercussions. So just don't do it, please. It's such a pain. And it's annoying to not just the faculty. I mean, we had students reporting other students last semester because it was so bad. So it's not worth it to anger that many faculty members. It's really not. Okay. So, over the course of the rest of tonight into tomorrow, what you will see begin to happen is the course calendar will get populated, teams will get populated, reading assignments will go up, the homework booklets will go up. Now, those booklets will also be hard printed, and they will be given to you next Monday. So you'll have a hard copy of them too. The other thing you will have a hard copy of is a data booklet. That data booklet, using that data booklet does not constitute cheating. Okay? It will have a blank page in the back of it. You are allowed to write whatever you want to on that blank page. And use that during the examinations, in-class examinations. In other words, you're allowed to write a cheat sheet on your data booklet. The only thing I can tell you about that, though, is for the final exam, you will not have a data booklet. You will be provided a data sheet that has all of the data you need for the final exam. And that means that it's really important that anything you use off of your cheat sheet in the in-class exams, you memorize for the final exam. Okay? So, you're absolutely welcome to write whatever you want to in your data book. You can write notes on the periodic table. You can write notes on the other tables. But any of those notes that you use a lot, memorize before the final. And yes, that's why I have absolutely no problem with cheat sheets. It helps you study. Because it helps you really distill what you don't know. And the reason why we do this in terms of data books is when you're out in the real world as real chemists, you're going to look stuff up. But you need to know where to look and what to look and what it should look like and about what it should be. In other words, you're going to look stuff up in tables. But you need to know how to pull the data, what table to look at, and how to pull the data from that table. And that's why we're providing a data book. Those data books, you'll be given them on Monday. There'll be little folded data books and stapled. Um, and that's yours. I will always have a few extras in for every exam. But if you want to guarantee I have one, if you forgot your data book on the day of the exam, same with calculator, you need to contact me before the exam, like a couple of hours before, so I can make sure I have enough data books and a couple of extra calculators on me to loan. If you don't tell me you need it, I'm not going to have it. So this is one of those instances where you get in, at 5 to college, you look at your bag and go, oh crap, I forgot my calculator. You let me know. Now, if you do that every exam, I'm going to start taking points off. If you do it once, no big deal. It's 3 exams. Everybody makes a mistake one time. And I will, of course, send out an email. I will send out a chat in Teams reminding you on the day of the exam in the morning, because I teach a class at 8 a.m. online. So right before that class, I'll actually send out a chat to you guys going, remember, we have an exam tonight. Make sure you have pen, pencil, eraser, your data book, and a calculator. So that way you remember what you need to have for the exam. Because right now, for me, if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget it. So I just assume everybody else is like that. Anyway, all of that will get populated over the next couple of days. The links for the live streams will go live. Will get posted in chat. I was going to check and see. Oh crap, this is Edge. The worst browser ever invented. Okay, so you guys definitely YouTube and public. On the private, if you're really shy and you don't really want to respond in the live chat on the private, on the YouTube stream, this is what I told the 113 students. Starting on Wednesday, I will have Teams up on my phone. And I will have my phone laying where I can see it. So if you are really shy and you don't want to ask a question on the live stream chat because it's a public YouTube live stream, then you can ask the question via Teams chat. Okay? And that way it doesn't go on the live stream, but it goes directly, but I still see it. And you still get credit for asking the question. And if it's a good question, I will even mention it in the live stream and answer it. Because I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Now, the other thing is I am going to try to figure out how to carry some of this recording and live streaming into the main classroom so that even when we're meeting in person, the lectures are still recorded. So I'm going to do what I can there. I'm going to see how well that works. But I am going to try. And I am going to try it for the in-person meetings to some extent to have some of those lectures. How to explain this? Chemistry is a lot of working problems, but there are occasionally times when we derive equations and you have definitions that are really important. If the material's definitions that are really important, I'm going to make those in PowerPoint slides so that you have them, and I'm going to try to remember to post those before lectures so that you can print them and take notes on them. Now, I've been teaching for 25 years and I don't use PowerPoint a lot. I mean, I know how to use it, but I've never done my lectures in it, okay? So remind me of that. So if you don't see PowerPoint slides go up on So we're supposed to meet in person on Monday nights. If you don't see the PowerPoint slides go up Sunday night, just pop me in Teams chat. Professor, are there going to be PowerPoint slides for Monday's lecture? That's enough of a reminder, because some lectures we're going to be working problems and there's really not going to be a PowerPoint slide. But because I'm just going to do those on the board, a whiteboard, the electronic whiteboard like this, and it'll be projected for you guys so that the whiteboard can be recorded. But on other days, when we're doing more derivations and definitions, I always do practice problems in class. And usually a harder problem, yes. But when you get your module book, there will be some really hard, challenging problems. If there's a particular problem in that book you really want me to work, ask for it. Because if I don't work it in class, I'll work it on a podcast. Also, every week after you guys submit your homework, all of the other homework that was due that week, that's from your booklet or from your workbook, solutions will be available. Now, I'm probably going to put those solutions in the department office where you can stop by the office and just check your own homework. I have to tread, at least for the workbook, I have to kind of tread a delicate line here. Those workbooks are being sold. They don't want the solutions out for students. So I can't just post the solutions into a where you can print them and give them to everybody else, because then I can't use the workbook next semester, because then everybody has the answers, you see. So because of that, I can't just post the solutions, but I am going to make them available so that you can grade your own work. For the module booklets, those are problems I'm pulling from old textbooks, because I have 15 old freshman chemistry textbooks. So for those problems, I'll probably post the solutions as a PDF and just make it where you can't print them, because those are going to be a little bit less critical. I won't necessarily inherently get in trouble for posting those because they're from older textbooks. So that's the balance I'm going to strike between those two. So you will have solution sets that you can access to grade and see why you missed stuff. I think that's about as fair as it's hard to strike a balance in the world of ChatGPT, where you can just take a picture of something and it's going to give you the solutions to it. But we're doing the best we can, and hoping that the students who want to learn aren't going to use it for the most part. That's what we're hoping. But we're also trying to make it fair on the students who are not using it, so that the students who are using it don't have a leg up and get better grades than the students who aren't using it but are learning more. This is hard. And we're doing the best we can with what we got. So, anyway, calendar will go up. The calendar will go up as a printed sheet. The other thing that will go up that's really important is a thing that's called the class policy book. That will also be a printed book. The class policy book, in it has, this course satisfies learning goals and objectives for your liberal arts requirements, so we have to list all of those. But it also has the learning goals and objectives for this course. And the department made the decision when we wrote those learning goals and objectives, they are incredibly detailed, that the final exam questions would only cover those learning goals and objectives, and not the ones listed as optional. And that means that that course policy book gives you your study guide for the final exam, because you are only going to be asked multiple choice questions from those learning goals and objectives. So it can help narrow down what you need to study in terms of getting ready for the final. And it also tells you how the final's set up, how many questions are qualitative, how many questions are quantitative, and the length of it, and so on and so forth. So, course policy book, very important. You will have a copy of that. We're trying. We are trying. Gen Chem 2. I'm a physical chemist by training, and General Chemistry 2 is an introduction to physical chemistry. So almost all of the material in this course you would see again if you were to take Physical Chemistry 1, which is called Chemical Thermodynamics and Kinetics, under, say, me when I teach it. But in that course, we would derive all of these equations and topics and everything from first principles. You would have the calculus, and everything would be derived, and none of these equations would appear out of nowhere. Some of these equations I'm still going to derive for you guys, because you have enough math, or you should, to be able to sort of understand what's going on. Do I expect you to fully understand it? No. But I am a physical chemist, and I really try to teach this course in a way where if you do take an upper level physics course or my upper level physical chemistry course, you won't have to unlearn anything in order to learn it at a more advanced level. And that's something that I really do strive for in this particular course. The problem with this course is and I'm going to be blunt with you, most of the crap in this course you aren't ever going to use again in your entire career as a scientist. If you're going to be a doctor or a pharmacist or a dentist, there's pretty much nothing in this course you're going to use relatively. There's a little bit of kinetics that you will use. If you go do nuclear, if you become an oncologist, a cancer doctor, there's some stuff that we'll cover in nuclear chemistry that you will use. There's a little bit of thermodynamics that you will use. But it's a very, very tiny amount. Most of the material you need for organic chemistry, we taught it last semester. Now, I'm going to review some of that, and I'm going to make the 113 videos available to you guys so you can review it before you take organic chemistry. But General Chemistry 1 is, here are the foundational principles you need to do any type of chemistry. General Chemistry 2 is, let's introduce physical chemistry to the masses. So some of you are going to love it. If you're really detailed oriented, you're going to love it. If you really liked math, you're going to love it. If you're more visual, this is not going to be your favorite course. Don't worry about it. You'll like organic, and the ones that are detail oriented and love math will think organic is like the torture course. And I'm telling you this because a lot of students take this course and they make a low B or a C plus, and they get so disheartened by how poorly they did in the course that they just stop. They don't try to take organic. And the truth is you can do not so great in this course and actually do wonderful in organic chemistry, because they require very different methods of thinking about chemistry. So don't give up if you struggle in this course and think, God, I just can't do chemistry. That's not necessarily true. You just may not be a physical chemist, and that's okay. Most physical chemists would rather be on a sinking ship than in an organic chemistry lab. So, okay. Chemistry is very, very bipolar. Yeah, it's absolutely common. It's so common that when we look for PhD students, we fully expect a PhD student, like if we're looking at a candidate of someone we might invite, that we might provide an offer to go get a PhD in chemistry, to go to graduate school in chemistry, we look at their transcript and go, A in organic, C plus in PChem. Okay, the organic chemist. A in PChem and physics, C plus in organic, physical chemist. You can sort them. So we don't actually expect chemistry majors to be straight A students because it's very, very rare to have a student that's good in both disciplines. It's extremely rare. So if you really like chemistry but you're not doing great here, bear with it. You may be an organic chemist. If you really, really love this course, bear with organic chemistry. You got to take it. It's kind of a requirement. Every chemist has to suffer through one or the other. Almost nobody enjoys both of them, both physical chemistry and organics. Very rare to really like both those subjects. They're very different subjects. But I just wanted to let you guys know that because this course, more so than Gen Chem 1, this course is a course where you really have to confront, this is hard and I don't like it. And that may ease with organic chemistry because it's just a very different type of course. So that's just something where you guys can consider that. We are considering allowing students with really, really strong grades in Gen Chem 1, like a B plus or higher, to take Orgo 1 and Gen Chem 2 at the same time. Although that's kind of, that might be glutton for punishment, and you certainly wouldn't want to do that with Biology 1 or 2. But for a student that's in a hurry to get their pre-meds done and they're a really good student, it's something that we would consider allowing. So, but it's not for the faint-hearted, and it's probably better to take a little bit more time. Okay, next time we will actually begin lecture and look for stuff going up. If you are struggling to get into Teams, please let me know in this chat. Make sure that you can access the course. Make sure that you can chat me in Teams. You should see the group chat. So make sure all of that is good. And if you can't, please let me know so that I can talk you through how to do it. But generally speaking, if you can't see the team, it's because you're logged in using QMail, not your Brightspace. So you need to log in using the exact same login and password that you use for CUNY First and Brightspace, not the password and login you use for your email. And as long as you remember that, you'll be good on Teams. And that's much, much easier to do if you just download the app, because the app remembers it and you don't have to remember just to log out and log back in. Any other questions? I'm probably going to move my camera, but because I forget to look at it. But are there any other questions? Then I'm going to end the broadcast and stop the stream, and I will see you guys on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. And I wish you a good evening.